The Faculty was part of the late 90s horror boom that was born out of the meteoric success of Scream. Most horror films released in the ensuing years tried to capitalize on that film's popularity, and most of them were quite forgettable. Unfortunately, The Faculty seemed to get lumped in with that group, and it came and went in the fall of 1998 without much fanfare. Reviews were decidedly mixed, but The Faculty had something special that separated it from the pack, and I feel it's an underappreciated standout. Kevin Williamson is the main credited writer, but he was not the originator of the script. David Wechter and Bruce Kimmel wrote The Faculty, but there were no takers. After the success of Scream, it was fast-tracked by Miramax, and they brought in Williamson to do a rewrite. Robert Rodriguez was hired as the film's director, and he injects The Faculty with an incredible sense of energy not really seen in its slasher brethren. Most horror movies, especially of that period, had a stale by-the-numbers visual style that didn't do much to engross the audience in the filmmaking. Horror is usually about the scares anyway, but Rodriguez didn't approach the film as just a scary movie. He shot the film like he would any of his other roller coaster ride action flicks. Rodriguez burst out onto the early 90s independent scene with El Mariachi, a film he shot virtually as a one-man crew for $7,000, which he procured by volunteering as a human guinea pig in a pharmaceutical study. The gamble paid off, and his film took him all around the world to film festivals, which ate the exploitation-style action up. His subsequent work remained faithful to the unique style he demonstrated in Mariachi. This kind of energy and verve was practically non-existent in the horror genre, and The Faculty's propulsive visual style made it incredibly thrilling to watch. The Faculty also managed to remedy a glaring problem in the casting of these horror movies. The actors were usually too old. It was always easy to chuckle at the actors who seemed more appropriate in playing the young substitute teacher than the teenage high school student. In a smart move, the filmmakers cast actors that actually resemble the ages they're supposed to be playing. It's easy to imagine Rodriguez also noticing the glaring age discrepancies in these horror movies and wanting to fix that. Speaking of the cast, everyone is uniformly excellent at playing what were admittedly pretty stereotypical characters, but the script manages to take these boring stereotypes and give them satisfying arcs. The film treats them as actual characters, and not just potential fodder for the alien monsters that have come to conquer the earth. We have the jock, who wants to use more than his muscles to get ahead, the brooding loner, troublemaking drug dealer, who's actually a highly intelligent underachiever, and in the end he actually joins the football team, the superficial head cheerleader, who rises above her shallow bubble, the nerdy outcast who steps up to the plate and becomes the film's hero, and gets the girl. Likewise, the introverted goth who actually follows football, and in the end gets the popular guy. These kinds of characters and arcs weren't typical of horror movies, and they certainly weren't developed with such attention to detail. And in the end, the characters, in line with Williamson's ironic style, end up exactly where they weren't supposed to. Tangentially, there was an aggressive edge to The Faculty that was pretty unusual during that time in teen slashers. But in 1998, this edginess was perfectly in line with the Jerry Springer exploitation era that had taken over television with its no-holds-barred attitude to daytime TV. But the aggressive nature of these characters in The Faculty actually fit the film's storyline. The paranoid anyone could be infected angle, which Rodriguez borrows pretty heavily from John Carpenter's The Thing, was the main driving force of the movie's thriller aspect, and Robert Patrick somewhat reliving his violent rampages from Terminator 2 made him a joy to watch. And much like Williamson infused Scream with meta, self-referential stylistic tendencies, The Faculty's characters are hip enough to know the rules of the game they're playing. The Faculty wasn't just a horror movie, it also served as a geeky in-joke for lovers of the genre. The paranoia body snatcher idea was a perfect match with the rebellious teenager angle. At that age, it's easy to think the whole world is out to get you, and in The Faculty, the whole world was out to get you. But the characters here, unlike other horror fare from that time period, actually seemed better equipped to deal with the threat, which was much larger than the killer stalking kids with a knife. It was a global threat. And their victory in the end gave the film a wish fulfillment aspect that we weren't used to getting in that genre, a genre which reveled in amassing a large body count. When the alien queen is dispersed by the unlikely hero, most everyone who was infected goes back to normal. It's as if the events of the film were a nightmare that everyone in the audience was able to wake up from. If you enjoyed this video, consider hitting the like and subscribe button, as I'll be posting more content in the future. Thanks for watching.